Senator Hunt, you are recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon. What? Why did I say that? Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Nebraskans. Almost afternoon, I guess. Good morning, everybody. I wanted to rise. I didn't get a chance to get into the mix on this last week when we began speaking on it. I was just at the bottom of the queue when we adjourned for the afternoon. But it is my first year on the Education Committee. I'll be frank with all of you and with you Nebraskans, I do not like this committee. I never wanted to be on this committee. I don't know anything about the subject matter. I am in my 7th year now in the legislature, and this isn't really subject matter that I have a lot of experience with. But I have been working as diligently as I can to kind of get up to speed and be a productive member of the committee. And part of that, is taking the subject matter really seriously. LB31 came out of committee unanimously. One representative was sent in opposition, and we had a handful of letters in support and in opposition. And it really isn't that deep. It really isn't that deep. And I have to ask if a lot of the opposition I'm hearing is about the introducer, honestly, rather than the actual policy, because it's a great bill. It had widespread support. The introducer has worked with opposition in good faith. And I would ask if you have opposition to bring that in good faith. I don't think it's, no one has said this explicitly, but I must say it. I don't think it's plausible that LB31 will lead to more school shootings. That's not plausible. That's not going to happen. If opponents like Senator Von Gillern are so concerned about school safety, maybe they should lift a finger on things like safe storage or gun safety regulations or mental health support. But to say that we can't let parents know what software companies that schools contract with are doing with kids' data, that's all this bill is talking about. Parents have the right to know what's going on with kids' data. That's it. I bet I can't find a single person in this room who disagrees with that. Parents have the right to know what schools are doing with kids' data. Now, I'm sure the schools will say, now we don't share or sell kids' data. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure they don't. But the tech companies that provide this service, they might. They might do that. And I don't know if, how many of you have school-age kids right now. I've got a high school freshman now. And from the time she was in middle school, especially around COVID, pretty much everything she does in school now is on the iPad. I'm not getting a lot of textbooks coming home. I'm not getting a lot of worksheets coming home. We aren't doing a lot of handwritten essays like I did when I was a kid, like most of us did. Everything is on the iPad. And when I get her assignments for school and the things that she has to do for her classes, these things are digital assignments. These things are like, log into this software on your iPad and complete these lessons and then turn them in. Colleagues, I think that these are great learning tools. I could talk for 15 minutes about my criticisms of having kids doing like basically only online education at this age. But I think these are great learning tools. The problem, colleagues, that LB31 seeks to address, and why this isn't a solution in search of a problem, is that schools are contracting with software companies that are out to make a profit. And remember the conversation we had last week with Senator Sorrentino and Senator Hallstrom? Of course corporations aren't the bad guy. Of course corporations aren't evil. We want all the corporations to make profits. But colleagues, in this case, the product is the kids' data. So what LB31 seeks to do is not to choke off that process, not to say we can't contract with tech companies in schools. It's to say parents deserve to know how that data is being used. That's it. It's not saying publish on the internet all of the routes out of the school from the security camera so that school shooters can use it. This is a ridiculous and absurd extrapolation to arrive at. All it's saying is that parents have the right to know how the data is being used. And we know that when schools are contracting with software companies, no, it doesn't mean the schools are selling the data, but the software companies are. And schools should be transparent with parents about how that is happening. Now, many schools say that they're already doing this. Great, then they would be in compliance with LB31. All this does is put on the books that this is our expectation in Nebraska, that our kids are not the product, that we're not selling our kids information, and that we have transparency around those processes. Thank you, Mr. President.